This is Eitan Weinstein.
And I'm Naor Menninger, and you're listening to Two Nice Jewish Boys.
This podcast is made in collaboration with the Jewish Journal. Check them out at jewishjournal.com. Also in collaboration with Arutz Sheva, israelnationalnews.com. If you'd like to support the podcast, visit 2njb.com/donate. Once upon a time, in an election far, far away, in April of 2019, amidst the political cacophony of right and left, one party stepped into the limelight as a possible kingmaker. You see, here in Israel, as a small party, you can tip the scales of a coalition and thus hold a lot of power. Zehut, or identity, led by Moshe Feiglin, was predicted to receive as much as 7 mandates. For many, Zehut is an enigma. On one hand, the founder of the party, Moshe Feiglin, leads a libertarian approach to government and economics. He believes in lowering taxes, abolishing social security almost completely, and a separation of church and state. And as an added bonus, he wants to legalize pot. On the other hand, he's a devout religious Jew who believes the Temple Mount should be under Israeli control and that the third temple is soon to be built, God willing. Some people adore Moshe Feiglin. Others are bewildered by him and put off. But one thing is certain. Moshe Feiglin is one of the most intriguing Israelis to hit the political stage in recent times. So we are very thrilled and honored to be joined today on the podcast by Moshe Feiglin. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eitan. Thank you, Noel.
I gotta, first of all, share our listeners. You can't, maybe if you're not watching the video, you can't see, but we're sitting on your beautiful porch outside.
Overlooking the father's land.
Yeah.
As they say.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
The mountain of Samaria, of the Shomron.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the center of the land. If you look at the map, we are in the belly button of the land of Israel.
If it's a little windy, guys, it's because we're outside. So
yeah.
I
hope we also have a good air, fresh air.
Yeah.
I got a level with you. To me, we came from Tel Aviv. When I pass the border, the checkpoint, it gets scary.
There wasn't a checkpoint until the leftist government of Rabin came into power. And the only reason the checkpoint is there because we trying to give away the land by through actions instead of through the majority in the Knesset. Until 95, I think, or 94, there was no fence and no checkpoint.
But here it was okay. But when I went one time to Eli, which is really in the heart of Judea and Samaria, at a certain point you only see Palestinian license plates. You don't see any Israel, and then it gets you get anxious from that.
Well, the minute you said the word Palestine or
then
Palestinians,
Arab license plates,
then you lost Tel Aviv as well. Okay, you should be aware of that. Okay, it's one of those lies that when you say them enough times become true, as I believe who said that. Who I'm quoting now. I don't even want to say his name. Okay, but there isn't a Palestinian nation, and this is the land of Israel, not Palestine. Now, the fact that there are Arabs here, it is obviously true, and the platform of Zehut gives a solution to the demographic problem, as well as to the economical problems. And if you want to get into it, I'll be happy to, but I don't know if that's our subject.
We certainly
right
do. But if we're already on the topic of the conflict here in our little corner of the world, then maybe if you could give us in 60 seconds, because to many people I think that would sound like you're ripping away the right to self-determination. That would be the other perspective. So if you could give us in 60 seconds why there is no Palestinian people, or why there is no Palestine?
No, that's very simple. There is no Palestinian history. It's simply true. It is simply a fact. There is no Palestinian nation and Palestinian people, and many intellectuals and very serious leaders of those are Arabs who lives in the land of Israel agree with that, and big enemies of the Jews.
But they think they have.
No,
They
no.
think.
When you really,
Maybe they're delusional. But
when you really have a serious talk to them, if they're serious, if they are intellectually serious, okay, and if they're honest, they admit that there is no Palestinian nation. So and therefore, there is no right to this land. They have no national right to the land of Israel. They have human rights. That is perfectly true. If they accept the Jewish nation right to,
But they never will.
to the Holy Land, then they are not enemy, and they should deserve every human right you can think of. But there's a difference between a human rights and national rights. There are no nation, definitely not a nation that's connected to this land. I can tell you where they came from and their history and all that. And they have no right here as a nation. They have only rights as individuals if they don't act as enemies.
So I mean, I can agree with the idea that they don't have an ancient history in Israel, right? Because I mean, if you look back, the Jewish people have our roots in ancient history, but even we arrived here. You know, if you see, if we go to the Bible as a source, as a historical source, which is already controversial in and of itself, but Avraham came from Ur Kasdim, so like the Jewish people did come here from outside. The question is like, okay, maybe they didn't have an ancient history, but they've been here now for soon before we
100
know
years,
it. If this conflict continues, it'll be 100 years soon. And then the question is, how much of a history do you need to have a right to a place?
Well, I think the question is,
God is very angry with your question, Eitan.
The wind.
Yeah. Wind,
No, I'm asking
wind.
these I'm picking your brain because I am interested.
It's the name of the name that I picked for my party is Zehut. Okay, identity. Is there identity today? Can identity exist at all? Is there any what's the English word for mahut? Existence.
Essence. Yeah.
Essence, right.
Yeah.
Is there essence in the world at all? I mean, I'm taking your question a bit back. Yeah, you asked from what time, how old of a history you need to have to become a nation. That's an interesting question, but I'll ask. I'm adding to your question. Okay, is there an essence of nationality at all, or it's all our imaginations? The whole postmodernism trying to say that there is no essence at all, and therefore there is no identity at all, and therefore we can all create nationalities, identities.
One nation, one globe, one nation.
That's okay. That's. I can ask the same question, and the bottom line of all these questions is very simple: is there a God or not? If there is a God, there is essence, and the essence name is its identity, or the way we describe the essence is its identity. Okay. And now you're absolutely right when you say the Jews, even according to our own Bible, it says ki gerim eitem be'eretz moladet. You are gerim. You came from abroad.
You are foreigners.
You're foreigners. You came from Ur Kasdim. Avraham came from Ur Kasdim. Later on, we came from Egypt. We are gerim. We are foreigners. Okay. So why we own the land? Because the Creator, who owned the whole world, gave us this land. Now, I don't. I'm an atheist. That doesn't talk to me. Tough. Then you have a problem.
Why?
Then
Why?
you have then you have a problem with the Palestinians. But
Why? Why I have a problem? If I'm a secular, okay? I don't believe in God. But why can't I have an argument, a good argument against the Palestinians? My argument is a military argument. International law even is on my side according to some interpretations.
Military argument means if you bring military arguments, it means that you're a fascist.
Why?
Basically.
I won over them in the war. So it's mine. Is it fascist?
So yes. You say the strongest nation will survive, or will have. You say might makes right, or something like that. Yeah, there's a term like that. Okay, This is kind of fascism, to my opinion. Okay,
It's fascism turned outwards.
that's
maybe.
right. And I'm not a fascist, but you're welcome to be. It's fine with me.
Well, I didn't know I was. That's fine. I'm in the wrong country. In Italy, I would be huge.
And but I don't need to tell you how to deal with those questions. If you want to answer 8 questions, you can. I answer the. I
No, but
think-
why do you think that seculars have no historic claim? I don't follow your argument.
Because all you say is, as a secular, is that you were here 2,000 years. You have history of 3,000 years here. Okay, but for 2,000 years you were not here, and he came.
But now I'm here again. So why is that his
So do
argument
you-
stronger
so
than
do
mine?
you- so do you have the right to throw him away from his land? Meanwhile, another 400 years, people that call themselves a nation, and therefore they are a nation because they invented a new. I don't know if they think they're a nation, then they are a nation. Okay, and they sat here, and suddenly, and they don't like the fact that now you come with your nationality and want and challenging their nationality and their connection to the land, and therefore there'll be a war. And you say the stronger will survive. Fine, they have time, and then they'll win, and maybe and you're giving them all the reasons to believe that one day they will win. What do I mean? All the reasons to believe. Because the truth is, not all, that they understand what I'm saying much better than you.
How so?
I'll tell you a story. When I came to the Knesset, very short, maybe a week or 10 days after I've become a Knesset member, an Arab Knesset member, very intellectual one, and vocal one, I think he's still there now, asked to speak to me, and we sat together at the corner of the Knesset, at the cafeteria of the Knesset, and he asked me, and he told me, "Tell me, Feiglin, this land of Israel that you're talking about all the time, where its borders?" So I looked at him and I said, "What do you mean? From the Nile to the Euphrates. Very simple." So
It's not what he expected. Or maybe it's exactly what he expected.
From the Nile.
Of course.
To the
From Nile to the
Euphrates.
Euphrates. I mean, the truth
Iraq.
is, the way he looked at me right away, he did not expect it. But he held himself and he asked me.
Even Jabotinsky had smaller intentions.
Yeah.
Ambitions.
So he looked at me and said, "Who said?" So I pointed the ceiling of the Knesset, or whatever is above it, okay? And I told him, God. before my hand came down, okay? He was ready for that answer, and he already said, "You're right. The land of Israel belongs to the Jews, and with you," he tells me, "with you, I have no problem."
But you
Wait.
know what? Okay.
That was not the end of what he said. With
Okay.
you, I have no problem. But he said to me, "You're a liar." So I looked at him and I said to him, "Why am I a liar? We're sitting and having a cup of coffee together, and before we even started, you're already calling me a liar. What's the?" So he said something very interesting. He said, "Because you are not a Zionist," he said. Even if in our Quran it says that God gave the land of Israel to the Jews, and you're a Jew, and with you I'll manage. But these Zionists, they just European colonialists that came here to take away my land, to rule me, to try to change my identity and take over my land. And with them, there'll be an ongoing war. And I wanted to make sure I understood him right. So I told him, basically what you're saying is that even if Ben Gurion in 1948 would declare the state of Israel only in the backyard of the Tel Aviv Museum, you, when I told him his name, would have taken a knife and go in and slaughter everybody. He said yes.
Okay, so what's the moral of the story?
The moral of the story is that the Arabs understand my answer, but don't understand yours.
But that's why you are both wrong, maybe. Because you both think the same.
But now the question is, but now the question is, let's say I'm wrong and you're right, and I definitely don't think this way.
Okay.
I think it's the opposite. Okay.
Okay.
But let's say that I am wrong and you're right. Okay. Do you want peace?
No.
You don't want peace?
No.
You want your kids to live in ongoing war?
I don't think what they want is relevant. I
didn't ask you what they want. What do you want? Do you want the state of Israel?
I don't want peace. I just want quiet life.
Okay, but it goes
Sounds
together,
like
you
peace.
know. Okay, do you want quiet life?
Yes.
Without an ongoing war
Yes.
with the Arabs? You
Yes.
do. Well, with me, he's willing to make peace, and with you, he doesn't.
That's if you believe him.
I do. But let's assume he said the truth, and he has no reason why not to say the truth. Believe me,
Okay.
that if I would tell you his name now, and that will go out, he will have a problem.
Mhm,
Okay?
mhm.
He was
Yeah.
very honest. By the way, the Arabs are honest people.
Mhm.
Okay? When you're really telling them the truth, they admit it. However, so assuming that you are right, and
Mhm.
assuming that he said the truth,
Yeah.
then you need me to run this country in order to have a quiet life. I'm not saying peace, quiet life.
It's
okay?
a nice theory, but I don't buy. First of all, Zionism was always a secular movement. It started.
That's why he said that you're not a Zionist.
But if it weren't for the seculars and for Zionism, none of us would be here in the first place. You know, so.
Oh, that's another interesting issue. Okay, it has nothing to do with what we dealt so far.
I feel it's all connected.
But let me tell you where you're right and where you're wrong. I am here because my family came here during the first Aliyah in 1889. They gave up a rich life in Belarus, in White Russia, okay, and they were the first pioneers to start the first moshavot, settlements up north. My family specifically were the pioneers who started Mishmar Yarden up north. You can see when you go up until today, you see the name Feiglin over there. My grandfather was probably the first or the second baby born in Metula, and so on. They were very, very religious and Hasidic people. And when they came here, no one knew who Herzl is yet, unless your name was I mean, the first Zionist convention, I think, was
1899. 99.
99?
Or
It was a little earlier.
Not 1904, maybe that was the second. However, they came here before because of religious reasons, okay? And most of the first Aliyah people who created those moshavot came from those reasons. That includes Rehovot, that includes Rishon LeZion, definitely Petach Tikva, definitely the first suburb out of Jerusalem. So to say that we were not here, that is not true. What is true about what you're saying? I would say that the physical part of Zionism, the physical part of building the land, belongs to a religious spirit. And it's Aliyat HaChasidim, and it's Aliyat Talmidei Hagra, which came even more than 100 years even before, okay? And the first Aliyah for sure. Later on, the
masses.
Wait. So the foundation, the basic foundation of building the land, was put down not by the Chalutzim, who were small minority, but mostly by religious people. However, it's definitely true that the masses that came later were Masortiim. Many of them were total unreligious or secular, non-religious or secular. But the point is not that. The point is that the political aspect, in another word, they came in order to live in Eretz Israel and build Eretz Israel and fulfill and worship God the right way in Eretz Israel. They wanted to be agricultures and do all the mitzvot that tluyot ba'aretz. I mean, so they came from religious reasons, but they had no intellectual way, to take those pieces into politics and to create a state. To take the people of Israel in the land of Israel and to make it and make from it a nation and to make from it a Jewish state, that they could not do. For that, I agree that you needed the non-religious.
They had no way to translate their spirit into modern terms.
No. To translate it to a
politics,
to a modern national state.
Yeah.
There was not. It was not explained in the Shulchan Aruch how to do it.
Yeah.
The last time we had a state was during the last days maybe of the second temple.
Yeah.
And they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. They need a secular spirit in order to start it. And maybe this is what Zehut is really trying to do.
So let's
to
get
connect
into Zehut.
between the Jewish identity and the Israeli identity.
Before we get to Zehut, so someone like the first question about Zehut. So someone like me, who's a complete secular, who doesn't believe in God, and that, according to you, has no, how shall I put it, real moral claim, or I don't know how you would define
you
it.
said
Real
it-
moral.
you said it right.
Someone like me has anything to look for in Zehut?
Definitely.
How come? You just said that.
Because you're mistaken.
You know what? I usually, I could say that.
you oppose
but-
my very
but
essence in your
I could say that,
politics.
but I don't. I don't. Look, without a faithful Jewish leadership to the state of Israel, the state of Israel would not exist forever. Because in order to exist, in order to the Jewish state, the truth is that every essence, okay, every organ need a basic moral or basic spiritual or good reason to exist. Definitely the Jewish state, okay? So without connecting the state of Israel to its moral essence, to its righteousness,
Righteousness.
it will not be able to exist forever. As somebody atheist wrote in answer in one of my columns in my Facebook, he said, "I'm an atheist, but I vote for Feiglin because he has a God." Okay? I don't have it, but I understand that the state of Israel needs to be run by somebody who does. So I'm not going to even try to convince you that there is God. I don't care what you believe and what you don't believe and how you live. I mean, I love you as a Jew exactly as I love every Jew. Believers or not believers, religious, not religious, leftist, rightist, whatever, okay? But I expect you to be honest enough to understand that you need that kind of leadership to run Israel in order to Israel to have a future.
So we've been kind of up in the air, like spiritual-wise, right? We've been talking a lot of religion and the Jewish essence of the state of Israel. Let's get a little bit more practical. I have a question.
Aidan voted for you.
Naor, mentioned before, I in the first round of 2019,
You have a very good. You both have a very good English accent.
He's an American.
I'm American. Yeah.
I'm the Israeli.
He's learned.
also have
He's
good-
learned well from me.
Yeah,
Okay.
4 years with him.
How long in Israel?
Wow.
10 years, 11
No,
years.
13.
Yeah.
Since
Wow.
2007. 13 years.
He came to draft to the
Nice.
military.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I voted for Zehut in the first round of 2019. I'm wondering, did you believe the polls that were coming out? Because as we mentioned in the intro, Zehut was predicted to get 6-7 mandates. I'm wondering if you bought that, if you were more kind of tempered and said, okay, it's not going to be that great, or it's going to be even bigger.
The polls show the truth. There were many polls. They all showed the same, and some of them even showed 8 or even 9 mandates.
So how did the outcome? Because the outcome was, just to fill in the listeners, for those who aren't aware, the outcome was what, 1.5%, 2%? What was
No,
it?
the outcome, in talking mandates terms,
Yeah.
we got 3, and we were missing about a quarter of a mandate to pass.
Okay. For our listeners, the threshold is 3.5.
Yeah,
something
it was
like that.
about 10,000 votes
Yes,
Missing.
missing.
Right.
So basically, if you don't pass the threshold, you don't get in the Knesset.
Mhm.
And then many voters, as myself, were, devastated because we
Yeah.
didn't even get any representation.
What's the
In
question?
the end, it
What's
didn't.
the question?
No, so I'm wondering
I can tell
if
you
you
what
believe
did.
the polls.
I can tell you what
polls.
you did get.
Yeah.
But and you got from Zehut. I mean, you voted right. And no, what I'm trying to say is that you got much more than what you would have gotten if you would vote for any other party that got in. Okay. because Zehut changed the whole way of thinking. We plant a new vision. We plant a new dream. The influence of the Zehut party, even though it is not in the Knesset, is by far bigger than any other party, including Likud, including everybody.
But if some of your voters would vote for Bennett, then they'd have 61, and we wouldn't have this. We wouldn't go to second and third elections.
About if some of Bennett voters had voted.
But we're talking now about
also true.
But we're talking now about changing the country. Okay, we're talking about so you would have government, which is very important, and then what? What would have the difference would have been? The answer is nothing.
And with
Zero.
And with you inside.
With me, the difference already started.
How
Even
so?
without.
Because we created a new generation that first of all believe or understand that a vision is not a bad word. There can be a politics of a vision. You're allowed to dream. You're allowed to have a dream. And you're allowed to have strategy, not only tactics. Today we have in Israel only politics of people, not politics of ideas. Mm-hmm. Politics people should represent ideas. Who think like that anymore? You only think of who won who got in, who got out.
It's personal now.
It's all personal. There's no concepts anymore. Mm-hmm. Can you really tell me the difference, the ideological difference between Gantz and Netanyahu? There is difference
on paper.
Not even there. Come on.
Well, Gantz, hasn't really said much, or written much, or
maybe wrote a book with his ideology. On paper,
but you can ask yourself in practice, what's the difference? And maybe it's not as.
What's the difference between Kachlon, for 5 years the finance minister, and what
Katz.
is and not Katz. I'm talking about the most leftist. What's his name? Peretz.
Yeah.
Or Nissan-Cohen.
Right, they're all the same. That's for sure. Yeah.
Definitely the same.
So let's talk
they
about
have
that
ideology.
for a second.
They have communist ideology.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second. Because as you said, Kachlon is a Likud member.
So you already have on surface a party that published a platform, very serious platform, and not only about economy, but also about education, and also about what we spoke at the beginning, the political solution, and military solution, and everything at once, in almost 400 pages. I should have brought it with me here. I have it here if you want me to bring it. However, and that platform become the bestseller of 2019. It's in the list it's number 4 in the list of the 10 bestsellers of 2019.
People went to bookstores and bought it.
It was the hottest potato. I mean, who buy a platform of a party?
Which we have to mention the book opens with, which is amazing, your views on the Third Temple.
Right.
You laid them down right out, not shying away from it. You put them on the table, right up front.
Right. Because if you want, you said at the beginning, because there is no conflict between my
libertarian
views and my faithful views. It's all one thing. However, so first of all, you gained that. You gained the young generation of Israel suddenly saw a politician who are trying to convince them what he suggests, and not what's the difference between, not what's wrong with the other, not what is negative with the others, but what's good about me.
Maybe that's why you lost.
No, that's the reason why the numbers started to jump up. I lost when all the establishments, I would call it. It was not only political establishments, but the Histadrut,
Media.
the media, definitely the knitted kippot establishment and the Haredim establishment, I mean the religious establishment, the leftist establishment, everybody together felt, for good reason, threatened by this fresh new concept. And
But
and at the end, I would say in the last week, the fear won against the hope. They managed to get fear into
But that's
people's
always the case.
heart.
They say people in the voting ballots, they say, you
Mhm.
call it, in the end of the day, they won't pick the party because of hope and because of ideology. They'll vote out of fear, and maybe you fail to
Yeah, that's
treat the negative sides of the opponents.
I'll tell you what was my big mistake. Okay, you're right. Fear is much stronger than hope in the short term, and they managed to get that fear in the last moments, and people wanted to vote Zehut, but we're sure that Zehut is getting through anyhow, because for 2 months all the polls show that we are in. We are the kingmakers, okay? So people said to themselves, you know what? He's already in. He doesn't need to be so big. It's good that he's in, but slowly. So, and went back to their safety shores, you know.
But it's interesting that you said fear is a better motivator in the short term, because it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked before on other podcasts about the idea of loss aversion and the fact that as humans we are very scared more of what we might potentially lose than what we might potentially gain. So maybe it's not about speaking negatively about others, but painting a picture of what is the alternative. Not specifically how Gantz is bad or how Netanyahu is bad, but how going down this path of socialism or whatever it might be
Yeah,
is
so
negative.
I think that we at the beginning of the election, we had a problem that awareness. People weren't aware of us enough, of our
Mhm.
existence. So you had to catch their awareness, and when you need to do that, you're coming with your ideas very straightforward. You know, notice, look at me, look what I'm saying. Now and so your language and your people. So on, we got the awareness, but we got the awareness together with fear because it looked too much of radical.
Yeah.
Too many things at the same time. So now I'm trying to fix that. I'm trying to go deep into the ideas, letting people understand. I'll give you an example.
Now people are going to find out by themselves
I'll give you an
example.
example to what I mean.
Yeah.
When I spoke about legalize of marijuana, which I believe it 100%, even today, that caught the attention. The problem is, it's one little point in a wide platform that really deals with the serious stuff. But I think 60, maybe 65% of the media dealt with that point because that's interesting. It's sexy and so on. So it gave us the wrong stigma. And mothers were afraid for the kids and all that. And so I'm not erasing it from the Zehut platform,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not talking about it anymore. I rather talk about deep stuff.
The
because
bigger ideas.
The bigger ideas,
Yeah.
even though it won't catch, it won't
The media attention.
the media attention right
yeah.
away. But I don't know where the new political challenge will be. I want the next round, when it comes, to be when people really understand what Zehut is about.
I think it's like creating a fire. You need the tinder, right? The stuff that you put in to get the fire going. But at some point, you need to add the big logs. Otherwise, it's just gonna blow away in the wind. But I want to ask you about the bigger ideas.
It's like Tinder. You need a good profile, and then you get lots of matches.
I knew that would be your association with the word Tinder. But I want to ask you about the bigger ideas, because you did run on a libertarian platform, and that really is what drew me in. And I wonder if you think that there is actually, because when I look...
Believe it or not, excuse me for interrupting you for a second. Until very short time before the Zehut party was created, I didn't know what libertarian really means. Okay, I did not run on a libertarian platform.
You were libertarian before you knew there is such a thing.
I ran I ran the Zehut party. Zehut mean, and my Zehut is Jewish, so you can call it a Jewish party. Okay, the way I understand it.
You ran on a platform of giving individual freedoms.
Definitely.
Which I wonder, because when I look at Israeli society...
But excuse me again, it's very important to understand that. I did not pick from the shelf something that I liked in America or somewhere else. No. And when people getting angry at me, suddenly, hey, we thought you were a real libertarian, or hey, now we understand that you're not a real liberal because you said so and you said that. Excuse me.
Yeah.
You did not read the platform from A to Z. Okay?
No, I think that, there's definitely a challenge of when you use words today, then obviously those words denote certain ideologies, and you don't necessarily ascribe to the entire ideology. But I think that, if we, just for the, sake of brevity, I think the closest thing we could tag you with is libertarian. It probably doesn't do justice to the entire breadth of your platform. But I actually didn't have a problem with the libertarian side. What drew me in, the individual freedom side, let's call it that. But when I look at Israeli society, I see this dichotomy, this almost this paradox. On one hand, there's the very deeply entrenched, ingrained socialist side of it, right? Where people believe in bituach leumi and all that. But on the other hand, you have social security. But on the other hand, you have people that are so disgruntled about taxes and so fed up with the government. And do you really think that there's again, I'll go back to the word libertarian bone in the Israeli body? Because I just don't. Sometimes I don't see it there.
I think that there is a hardcore, definitely between the young generation of Israelis who's fed up with socialism, who understand that system creating slaves, creating the second and third generation of Israelis, making them slaves basically for the first generation. Young Israelis, your ages today, are working many hours in order to feed very wealthy people simply because they were here before 30 years before you. That's what it is. This is exactly how the system works. Okay, that's the reason why
there's a huge protest now by the Schulmans.
The Schulmans are a good example for that too.
They have a libertarian bone.
But basically, the structure of the Israeli economy was created by the Mapai regime at the time, by the socialists, by the Labor Party and the socialists and the Histadrut at the time, and it created in a way that there can be a guy 60 years old, okay, my age, guy my age, that didn't work so hard, never put a penny for a pension, and making 20, maybe even 30 1,000 shekels a month
From Social Security.
No, it's not even Social Security. From a what they call pensia taktivit,
budgetary pension.
Budgetary pension,
Budgeted pension,
which is not a pension. It's a money that goes straight from where?
Yeah.
From your labor to his pocket. Okay, and there are many examples the way it's done. So there are many young people who understand that. That's the only reason why a young couple in Israel cannot buy an apartment unless they have rich parents.
Mm-hmm. But even when I talk to the more...
So yes, they understand. And on the other hand, this hardcore is still too small.
That's what I'm saying, is that even when I talk to the people who I feel are more on the right side of the spectrum, that I might suspect of, supporting these ideas of individual freedoms and smaller government. I think that's the main issue that I don't see even in the right side. That people, I can't foresee, and maybe it's my lack of vision, dissolving Social Security, unemployment, these kind of things. Even people on the right side of the aisle.
I'm also not talking about that. You were not accurate when you described me at the beginning.
Yeah.
As somebody who wants to basically erase Social Security. It is not true.
Relative to what it is today, right?
Yes, what we are saying is that let's start. First of all, there should be Social Security. Okay? I would say something even before. There is only one thing that is total. There's no buts and not ifs and not gray color, between black and white.
Can I guess?
Yes.
God.
Definitely. First guess. Okay.
A+.
A+. But that was easy, right?
Yeah, it was. It's pretty easy. But I'll take what I get.
So I don't believe in total ideologies. Okay. Everything has buts and ifs and gray. It's more about amounts. When you're talking about a capitalism, it cannot be perfect. You will always have. If you're looking for what's the word I'm looking for? An
absolute.
An absolute. A solution. It doesn't matter if it's capitalism or socialism, whatever.
Yeah.
Basically, it's a destruction of everything. Okay, there is no absolute solutions. I don't believe in it, and there isn't. Once you're trying to come with an absolute solution, you can be sure that you will finish with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what life is about. Yes, you need a Social Security. When somebody is born, okay, incapable for no and there is no family and there is no community. So what? The state will not take responsibility? Of course it will. Of course it will. Then the nation circle. You have the family, you have the community or the tribe if you want, okay, and then the national comes in and covers it. So you need a Social Security.
But these are negligible, right? I mean, how many people
the question is how, but you want to make it the smallest as can be. So I think that the first step should be, and this is what we were talking about, the first step should be that those parts of Bituach Leumi that private companies,
corporations,
can get in and give the same service. I'm talking about the Bituach, the
Social Security,
insurance,
the insurance,
health
insurance companies should be able to compete with Bituach Leumi. Leave Bituach Leumi as it is today. Don't change anything.
Let the people choose.
Let the people choose. I want and write down.
But then they'll go bankrupt in 5 minutes.
give them policy. Give them פוליסת ביטוח.
Yeah.
Give them
Insurance
the
insurance
ביטוח.
policies.
Today you call it ביטוח לאומי, okay? National insurance. But it is nothing about insurance, okay?
Right.
Do you get a policy? Do you know what
No.
you covered for? You'll never know, okay? So it's the power of the government to take from us money.
It's just
and
another
give,
taxation.
and give to those that the politicians feels that will give them back political benefits, okay?
It's a rainy day
So
fund for
on
politicians.
on one hand, write down an insurance policy for ביטוח לאומי, okay, and let the private companies compete with whatever they want. So I, as a citizen, will decide. I will have to insure myself to these things, okay? So I will not fall on the on others. Just as when I'm buying a car, I have to insure. I have to have a life insurance, a basic insurance for the car, in case I'm hitting somebody, right?
Yeah.
So I will have to insure myself, but I'll be able to choose
Who I
where
want to provide
where
that.
and let ביטוח לאומי compete for the same prices. Okay.
But I mean,
so this is what Zehut is talking
agree
about.
with me that like you're setting up this game because you know one of the players is clearly going to lose. Is that not? I mean, is that not what you believe? That like, let's set up this game to
Not-
appease everybody because we know that
The
Bituach
state will
Leumi
always
is
lose.
not going to be
Not-
able to compete.
Let me tell you something. Today, the Israeli post office, okay, the Hador Israel, is horrible. You cannot send a letter anymore, okay?
I say we set up a similar competition
But
there.
if you put it exactly, that's what I'm giving you. But they have an amazing foundation. If somebody serious will take over the Hador Israel and will have the right to send people home, to fire people and run it the right way. So
It's already dissolved like 3 times, no? The Israeli Postal Service.
You know what? You're probably right.
It's disintegrated, I think it was.
They're going to lose.
Yeah.
There's one thing I gotta ask. How do you bridge the gap between being libertarian, giving individual rights to seculars, but bringing to the leadership, if you're prime minister or minister, such deep religious aspects? I know you say you want to separate state and church. But there's something
Again, that was a term that was not accurate.
You wanna
I'm talking about separate. Okay.
You want to give seculars the possibility to live as they see fit their lives.
I think they definitely, yes.
Okay.
But just again
just to finish the question.
I just want to you see that they're always stopping you
Yeah.
when you're using the wrong language because
Fair
first of
enough.
all it's hard with me because I'm something new, so there's no language
Yeah.
for what I'm saying, but it's important for me people to understand what are we talking about. I'm talking about separate the state of Israel from the religious establishment.
Okay.
Okay.
So
You can't really separate the state of Israel from religion because then it's not a Jewish state.
But how can you do that if you are a true believer? I mean, there's an inheritory contradiction, I feel, between you believing in God and wanting a third temple and wanting to bring the Jewish I don't know essence to this country, and to give individual rights because sooner or later those two values will have to clash between them, I feel.
Not only that you're wrong, no, you're wrong again.
I'm always wrong. I don't know what. I should retire. I know nothing.
No. It's very.
That's how I feel as a secular. I'm scared. My mother told me, "Don't you dare vote for Zehut because he's a honey trap. You're a honey trap." And I think many mothers said that to their sons.
It's because she hasn't met him yet. Yeah, look it up. He's not a honey trap.
No.
He's another
Just
sweet
a-
Jewish
just a
boy.
honey.
Yes, honey. That's why we're using these to, in marriage, honey. That's
Yeah.
the trap. Okay, that was a joke, of course. Yeah, many mothers said that to their kids. Or to the
The Jewish
Yeah.
mother is always right, Moshe.
but,
must acknowledge that.
But you know what? you know why your mother? You said you came from America.
Yeah.
Did your mother told you not to vote for Zehut?
My mom is less like my dad. My dad told me.
He lives here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a
he
settler.
He told me that.
He's a settler.
Yeah.
That's a different story. I'm talking about no.
But why? Right on the contrary, shouldn't he have?
That's a different story. One second.
Okay.
The fear. It's interesting. Why am I asking you that? Look, the fear from me personally, honey trap. Okay. By the old generation is much bigger than by the young generation. The young generation can carry these so-called contradiction easier. There is no contradiction, and I'll explain to you why. But beforehand, I think it's interesting. In Israel, the young generation believes in God much more than its parents. Maybe it's in the entire world. It goes through a wave of but definitely in Israel. And the old generation, my generation, older generation, grew up in terms of this separation between seculars and religious. These terms of secular, religious, even right and left, are old school terms, old school language. Today, these terms don't describe reality anymore. The cabinet, all the drawers in the cabinet. I am a leftist. I'm a rightist. I'm a religious, non-religious. All these drawers are getting stuck. Everything is, people do everything and believes in everything and the cards are being
Everything's being mixed up.
And it's good. It's very good.
So how do you bridge the gap?
I don't describe myself as religious. I don't describe myself as Zionist. Okay, definitely not a religious Zionist, which is the total conflict. I describe myself as a Jew, and I hope, as soon as can be, I'll be able to describe myself as an Israeli, the original way, the Israelites. Okay.
I define myself as a Jew too.
Wait, but you did say I'm an atheist or not an atheist.
Yeah, I'm an atheist.
I think all these terms today are irrelevant.
Okay.
Now, back to your question. I just referred why the old generations are afraid of me more than the young generation. And I saw many mothers that said to their kids, "What? You crazy? what happened to you happened to many." It's an interesting social
phenomenon.
Something, to learn.
Yeah.
You can make a doctorate, a few doctorates about it. However, you can write. Okay. However, look. The call for freedom, the concept, the war against slavery, okay, starts with monotheism. The Americans understand that when they tried to create a nation of freedom, right? What did they
Under
lean on?
God.
Under God, under one God.
Mm-hmm.
One nation under one God, okay? They understand that. Philosophically, okay? I can prove it, okay? Paganism, atheism, and slavery always goes together. paganism and
I thought Americans were the greatest slavers.
Oh yes, that's why they had the war, because they tried to stick to the concepts. Okay, the Civil War. When you worship idols, talking before Abraham, okay, and in many places, then you create the idols. One God says, don't murder, lo tirtzach, do not murder, okay? The other God say, tirtzach, sababa, yeah, it's great to kill, okay, others. And you choose between them, which means you are God. If there's more than one, there's no one.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that believes in many God, paganism, and believe in no God, it's the same thing. At the end of the day, it's the same thing. If there's no God, you can take the same concept. If there can be this kind of family and that kind, and if everything is a family, for example, then nothing is family. Look at what, okay?
I mean, I disagree with
if I erase the borders of
no, because you have values like Eitan always loved.
If I erase the borders of essence and identity, and throw in whatever I decide, then there's no identity at the end. At the end, there's no identity at all. It's very simple to understand it, I think. Okay. So now we are at the point where there is no God. Either there is an I, and it doesn't matter if I'm an atheist or a paganist. Okay. If there's no God, I am God. I replace him. I believe that my moral is good enough.
Yes, that's the essence of objectivism, of libertarianism, I think.
My moral is good enough.
Yes.
Okay? Because so there's no God and I replaced him. And very quickly you get from there to what we see today in few states in America, for example, that you can have an abortion at the 9 months, sometimes even at the 10 months. And you will not call it a murder, okay? Because there is no...
Because I have a right on my body, so I get to choose. You have a right on your body.
Mm-hmm. There is no objective point in the world for moral. I decide that the right on my body comes above the right of this baby for his life.
Mm-hmm.
And under that understanding, I allowed myself to murder.
Okay, but you have seculars here in Israel. Let's go back to my original question.
Wait. So
that's a given.
What I'm saying is that the source of freedom and the source of morality logically has to be objective. Otherwise, you very quickly find yourself in these slippery road to death. Now, there is a reason why communism
was secular
and atheism always comes together. And there's a reason why communism is the most killed, this ideology killed more people ever in human history, more than Nazism, okay, even more than Nazism.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason, because there is no God. There is a reason why. So when you're talking about freedom, it has to come with the freedom comes only from the understanding.
But democracy saved a lot of lives in America, and democracy didn't come from. It came from.
I'll tell you
modern ideas that are not religious.
I promise to talk about democracy too, but I just want to end up that
Okay.
your basic question here, and saying that when there's no God, then there will always be rulers. There will always be paganism, and under paganism, one man rule the others because he's strong, as he said before. Because I'm stronger, so I rule this land. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But when there is God, the fact that you are strong and I am weak, or vice versa, is irrelevant. He is the only king that we are worship. We are all free under the wings of this one God. When there is no God, we are always slaves.
But that's what keeps the Arabs here in Israel so strong in their perception of reality, which led them to devastating results.
So you see that once that you have a God, there's no problem. They accept you. We spoke about that.
We're going in a circle. Okay. So, anything you want to add,
The circle of
Eitan?
life. No, I did want us to touch on Corona, but I think we're
Yeah,
kind of
no
over
time.
Oh,
time.
you want to talk about democracy?
Just let's talk about it real quick and wrap things
Oh, we
up
can,
because
we can continue talking. You see,
Yeah, the whole
there's
day.
no end.
Yeah.
No end. We can
Okay, I got
again.
one last
Yeah,
question.
okay,
Just
okay.
give me your perspective on like but like very practically the steps taken by the government in the Corona crisis. Are you for them, against them? Do you feel like they trample
and what's going to
You
happen
know,
with this
I
government?
marked
Basically
during,
individual
during,
rights.
during. Oh,
in emergency scenarios? That's what I'm trying to get at.
I'll start with the fact that about a month ago, I felt that I wasn't sure that there is not too much of a hysteria involved here, and I took and I was very happy that Norway decided to not to do all these
Sweden.
Sweden,
Sweden.
Yeah.
Sweden or Norvegia?
Sweden, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Sweden, excuse me. Sweden, right. I said to myself, that's my test case.
Mhm.
We'll see if the
Didn't
numbers
go
will be.
didn't go very well.
I
for
know
them.
that's so I can. So I think that the Swedish people gave us the answer. Yes, our government did what needed to be done, and even though Professor Lass.
Yeah.
And there are a few individuals here that said the government is doing it only for political reasons.
They're exaggerating.
Exaggerating and so on.
It's the flu.
And we see that I think that basically, of course, there's always things to learn and to fix. But basically, they dealt. I mean, the Netanyahu government. It was his decisions that, and he should get the credit for it. That definitely dealt good with the crisis. Now about the human rights. Look, when they came with the idea of using technical solutions, which means using the Shabak, the IGSS, or whatever
The Israeli CIA.
yeah, the Israeli CIA, you can call it, with their abilities to get into our phones and to in order to know if you were standing next to a guy that has corona, because with the Bluetooth and with all the
What is it called? The patient tracking? They had a name
essentially,
for it.
when they found a corona, someone who's sick with corona, they issued this surveillance practice they use on terrorists usually, and they were able to immediately send SMS to all the people who were in contact with this person, and this way you could prevent corona from spreading.
But not from spying after the who you talk to, but just
Right.
the fact who you were near.
Yeah.
The navigators. I mean, the
GPS
the
system.
GPS and stuff. That was a very serious question. If I'm in favor of it or not, in order to human rights. I mean, this is
Assuming it saved lives.
now they were talking about. They were estimating that tens of thousands of people can die. And later on, we saw that in Italy, in different places, that's exactly what happened. So it was not just nonsense, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, I felt that, yeah, we are in a time of war right now. This is a kind of war. And yes, I was in favor of it. But even when I said that, I said it's going to be very, very hard to take back that power from the government.
Mm-hmm.
And we see today that no one talk about it. They talk about how far we'll get back into classes, open restaurants. I think before that you talk about open the restaurants, you should stop that.
Roll back the...
It's just a good example. I was in favor of it because it's a wartime and you need to save life. But I knew then, and I'm screaming now, that hey, this is exactly what I was afraid of. I would have said the same thing even today, because again, this is time of war and thousands of people are in danger, but life danger. But now the war should be to roll back this
surveillance and
we lost some of our human rights because of the corona, and we need to fight to gain them back now.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time and for hosting us.
You're very welcome. It was just the beginning. I feel like that we can.
We'll do a follow-up.
Yes,
Are you
definitely.
gonna run next time?
Probably yes.
Okay. Because you didn't run in the last elections, just so our audience.
Yeah, there was
knows.
all kind of reasons for it, but
Next time,
I'm trying to build the
Mhm.
Zehut party in order to run, not to stay on the shelf, in order to run and in order to bring this vision and new kind of leadership to the state of Israel. As I said before, there's no future without it to the state of Israel.
Amazing.
it was amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Before we go,
Thank you, guys.
we have 3 collaborations in 3 continents.
Yes.
One is with the Jewish Journal. They're in Los Angeles. Check them out at jewishjournal.com. They have great podcasts, great articles, Facebook, Instagram, so check them out. Also,
And same goes for israelnationalnews.com.
Arutz
Arutz Sheva, guys. Check them out, israelnationalnews.com. Again, great news source for what's going on here in Israel. So check them out. And in Australia.
In Australia, the Australian Jewish News.
Wow.
You remember the website?
I have warm part in my heart for
Australia?
Australia, yeah.
For the
Yeah.
Outback, down under.
I have. Unfortunately, I'm not happy about it, but most of my family is still there. Yes.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, we're also collaborating with them, so check them out, Australian Jewish News.
AJN.timesofisrael.com.
And we accept donations, so please help us out. Go to twinjb.com/donate and just send us some money because we are poor. And that is it. Thank you so much for having
Bye,
us
guys.
in your
Thank
home.
you.
You're very welcome.
Bye.